Good morning, everyone. We're just going to give it a moment to let people in from the waiting room.
When I started at Bio 2 months ago, I said we would tackle big issues. This is one. On Memorial Day weekend, George Floyd went to the store and never got home after police detained him. When I started at Bio 2 months ago, I said we would tackle big issues. This is one. On Memorial Day weekend, George Floyd went to the store and never got home after police detained him. With phones rolling, the world watched in horror as he begged for his life. His death and others reignited the smoldering embers of generations of injustice towards Blacks and communities of color. I decided to pursue medicine nearly 30 years ago because of a burning desire to have a positive impact on my community. Health disparities for people of color, then and now, were prevalent. And it was my hope that I would use my skills to help improve the patient experience and improve patient outcomes. Now, the COVID pandemic has reminded us again in stark detail that the impact of diseases on communities of color is also unequal. As I have said before, America is plagued with chronic disease, the disease of systemic racism. For reasons that are still not entirely understood, Black Americans have suffered a much higher rate of infection and die from COVID at 3 times the rate of their white counterparts. But COVID is just the latest in a long line of diseases that show stark disparities in health outcomes. As leaders in the life science industry, it is critical that we meet these challenges and injustices head on. And so today, we are launching what we are calling the Bioequality Agenda, a challenge to our industry to fully address these issues of injustice now and in the future. We call it justice through equity. There are 3 main areas that we simply have to address: patient access to life-saving medicine, the shortage of minority scientists in this biorevolution, and making sure that the booming biotech economy includes all parts of our society. So the Bioequality Agenda has 3 pillars: promote health equality and access to medicines and in ensuring diversity in clinical trials, invest in the current and next generation of Black scientists and entrepreneurs, expand the opportunities for women, Black people, and other minority populations in the growing bioeconomy. Promote, invest, expand. Over the next several years, we will be aggressively pursuing the Bioequality Agenda by any means necessary. And that means through education, collaboration, and advocacy. Our efforts will seek to challenge our companies, the government, and yes, even ourselves, to make diversity more than just a word or a program, but a true part of who we are and what we stand for. Together, we will make change, and science will be the better for it. For more details on the Bioequality Agenda, please visit www.bio.org and join us while we develop this plan and help make our world a better, stronger, and more inclusive place.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Maria Sacker-Gothi, and I'm President and CEO for Georgia Bio. We wanted to open the conference up, this virtual summit up, with those inspiring words from the new Bio President, Dr. McMurray Heath, who with her and her board and on behalf of the industry nationally has put together this important agenda that is really prioritizing equity and equality in our industry. So we really appreciate her leadership, and I hope you enjoyed that and do check out the website as you work to promote, invest, and expand, as she indicated. Before I get into my remarks, a few housekeeping things. This is a new tool for all of us. I think we're all getting to know these virtual platforms, so a few housekeeping. On your screen under the polls section, you can submit questions. We will do our best to answer questions, but we may not already have time. We do have a full agenda. The last session of the day is more interactive, and we do welcome questions that we can get to during that session. At the end of each session, a link should appear just above your viewing box to take you to the next session. But if you do not see that link above the viewing box, you can go back to your agenda and just select the next session. Additionally, I encourage you to check out patient testimonial section at the top of on the main nav bar. They're available for the next week, so I do encourage you to check that out. And additionally, recordings from today's event will be available for the next week. Finally, all of our patient and advocate attendees today are invited as our guests to join us at the Georgia Bio Innovation Summit right after the presidential election, November 4th through 6th, as our guests. If you're so interested, we will be in touch regarding that event and providing codes. So just stay tuned for an email over the next week or so after the event. We will as well, I should say, continue to collect patient testimonials to share with attendees at this conference. So the patient testimonials available today will also be available at our conference in November. So I encourage all the patient advocates that want to tell their story in a short video that they can simply record from their phones to reach out to us. We are happy to make that available so we can definitely get your story in front of our industry here in Georgia. So with that, today I'm thrilled to welcome you to our inaugural Patient Advocacy Summit. Though this event was in the works before COVID hit, it has a renewed meaning. COVID-19 has deeply affected all of us. Many of us have been acting as advocates for people battling COVID-19 or other life-altering medical conditions. The summit is bringing together the patient advocacy community with industry to amplify the patient voice and encourage greater patient involvement at every stage of the continuum. This is especially important to me as I myself am a cardiac patient, a longtime advocate for women's health, and most painfully watched my father suffer and die from the rare disease Creutzfeldt-Jakob, or CJD for short, 7 years ago. This extremely rare and fatal degenerative brain disorder has no treatment options, ravaged my family, and is inevitably family. And even with this access to care and experts, my family and I learned firsthand the challenges patients can face. I'm grateful to have been able to take my father's untimely death and my experiences to use towards advocating for research funding and family support through my role on the CJD Foundation board. That is my personal story in a nutshell. And like most on this call, I know that you have your own, so I encourage you to share it for our patient advocacy story section. Now, in my professional role, I work to advocate on behalf of the life sciences industry. Georgia Bio was founded in 1989 as a nonprofit member-based association that promotes the interest and growth of the life sciences industry. It is the state's largest and most influential life sciences advocacy and business leadership organization, which works to improve access to innovative technologies and grow Georgia's life sciences economy. Members include companies, universities, research institutions, government groups, and other associations involved in the discovery of an application of life sciences products and related services that improve the health and well-being of people throughout the world. Our industry encompasses any initiative aimed at improving the quality and standard of life. Its many industry sectors include biotechnology, medical devices and diagnostics, biopharmaceuticals, digital health, research institutes, global health, bioag, and biofuels. About 10 years ago, Georgia Bio was proud to support the formation of the Advocates for Responsible Care, which is led by our fearless co-chair, Dorothy Lionglasser. We are proud of that history, but it is our responsibility as an organization to bring the industry to the table and be a better ally to patients. My hope is today, as a first step in our society, is a first step in the right direction, not only to amplify voices of those who face health inequities in our society, but also provide an ongoing forum where innovators can connect with and learn from those who rely on those innovations. We are in the life sciences to improve the lives of patients, and that doesn't apply solely to those companies approaching regulatory applications or commercialization, but throughout the entire drug development cycle. Today, our objectives are many, but identifying patient priorities and gaining an understanding of how Georgia Bio may engage as an ally for patient groups is of the utmost importance. Sharing what challenges the advocacy community is experiencing during COVID, like funding, is another. And some of you who may not be with us to the end, again, I encourage you to become a member of our new Patient Advocacy Alliance. This alliance will work closely with various patient groups like Dorothy's to establish meaningful connections between advocates and industry to help inform and engage and collaborate on critical health issues, legislative priorities, and of course, share resources. So stay tuned after the event for an email outlining ways you can join and get engaged. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our co-chairs for the event, Dorothy Lionglasser, Executive Director for the Advocates for Responsible Care, and Stephen Lamara, Senior Director for Alliance Development and U.S. Government Affairs for Amgen. First, I would like to turn it over to Dorothy.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Advocates for Responsible Care is very excited about this being a first-time collaboration with all of you and the Georgia bio industry. We think that this partnership will be critical in moving an agenda that opens and expands affordable access to medications and treatments for all patients. We have been a longtime partner with Georgia Bio, as Maria said, since 2011, when we came together to develop the RX and Reach Georgia Coalition, which is a 40-member health-centered coalition in which we take on advocacy issues involving healthcare and equity. ARXC has always been at the forefront of working to minimize cultural incompetency and reduce disparity in our healthcare delivery system. We also work under the dome to pass important legislation, and we hope as us coming together, we will be able to be a louder voice of patient advocates and have a seat at the table with the bio industry and with other stakeholders in our community to uplift Georgians and allow them to receive the treatment and the care that they need. So we're just thrilled to be able to talk to you. We have wonderful speakers today. Please go to our speaker bio section and look at their profiles. And we really want to be able to take part in this and engage with you today. As Maria said, we will be answering questions. If not on the summit, we're going to follow up with you. And we might have some poll questions also that we would like you to answer. We all take part in this summit together. Georgia Bio and ARXC are no strangers to being on the front line. We have done a COVID response in the Georgia area, and we are working all the time to be able to lift up patients and give them a voice. So if you can also remember, since I know you're all looking at your phones, to please post on Facebook and on your Twitter page our hashtag Georgia Bio Patient Advocacy. And we would really appreciate that you get the word out. And during this time, let us know what you're thinking and what your priorities are as advocates and as organizations that put patient advocates first. Thank you, and I'll see you at the end of this fabulous summit.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Stephen, hi.
Thank you, Dorothy, and good morning, everyone. So thank you, Maria, Christina, Dorothy, Georgia Bio, and really in the entire Summit Planning Committee. This has been a collaborative group effort of which Amgen is a proud presenting sponsor for. Despite the challenging and strange year that 2020 has been, at Amgen, we've humbly celebrated our 40th anniversary. We're proud of our heritage as a biotech startup, our people, our culture, and our dedication to our mission, and always doing the right thing in everything we do. It's what makes Amgen really a great and special place to work. Together, we transform how patients, physicians, caregivers, and societies all around the world fight serious illness and high unmet medical need. We discover, develop, and deliver transformative medicines that address the leading causes of death and disability, and we find new solutions to meet the growing demand for better quality healthcare for more people worldwide. I'm really looking forward to the topics being discussed today: the doctor-patient relationship during a pandemic, the new normal for advocacy engagement, health equity and access, and clinical trial diversity. These conversations are timely and greatly needed. Shortly after the death of George Floyd, in a memo to all Amgen staff, our CEO, Bob Bradway, said, "Equal justice and equal opportunity may be our ideals, but they are not yet our reality. We can do better, and we will do better." Progress within each of our companies, advocacy organizations, hospitals, and universities individually are not enough. Collaboration across stakeholders is necessary to make the kind of deep systemic changes we need. Georgia Bio is uniquely positioned to convene these conversations, and I believe today's is an excellent showcase of what we are capable of together. Thank you for your time and attention to our program. I look forward to working toward the solutions that we highlight with you today. I now have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker. Gretchen Wartman is Vice President for Policy and Program at the National Minority Quality Forum. Gretchen has over 30 years of experience in health policy analysis, strategic planning, and program design and administration. She has held key positions in both the public and private sectors, including HHS, the Missouri Department of Health, the Comprehensive Health Planning Council of Southeastern Michigan, the Greater Detroit Area Health Council, and the City of Detroit Department of Health. Her depth of experience at the federal, state, and local levels makes her the perfect person to provide us the context and really set the tone for our program today. Please join me in welcoming Gretchen. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Stephen, for your generous introduction. For those who are not familiar with us, the National Minority Quality Forum is a nonpartisan, not-for-profit research and advocacy organization based in Washington, D.C. Our capabilities include data analytics, policy analysis and advocacy, issue-specific alliance development, and community-based provider quality improvement initiatives. The mission of the forum is to reduce patient risk by assuring optimal care for all. The forum's vision is an American health services research delivery and financing system whose operating principle is to reduce patient risk for amenable morbidity and mortality while improving quality of life. Accordingly, our programmatic and advocacy priorities promote research designs that assure the statistically significant inclusion of all affected population cohorts, a policy and regulatory framework that is responsive to patient needs and preferences by providing clinicians with maximum flexibility, the publication of data analyses that identify diagnosis and treatment patterns within and across geographic areas and population cohorts, and last, but perhaps most importantly, enhanced transparency through analysis and evaluation of the outcomes associated with promulgated policy and regulation. Maria, I congratulate you and the members of Georgia Bio for convening your first annual Patient Advocacy Summit. I am honored that you have afforded to me the opportunity to share my perspective on the challenges associated with advancing the principles of social justice through a mutually beneficial partnership between the biotechnology industry and organized patient advocacy. The theme of this summit is health equity and access in a patient's time of crisis. As we begin our exploration of this topic, I submit for your consideration a more disturbing narrative, for I believe it is our health services research and delivery system that is in crisis. The patient crises that have been experienced for over 200 years have, in this watershed year, simply been revealed to all in glaring and discomforting relief. At this shared moment, we have a disconcerting sense of being captive in an ambered societal calamity through which we cannot escape the specter of the human casualties, the communal disarray, and the financial devastation wrought by our inequitable system of care and caring. While the proximate cause of this catastrophic era is the novel coronavirus, the foundational flaw is, and perhaps always has been, social injustice. Yet, as is also always so distressingly true, shared awareness of crisis, shared pain and suffering, enhance the opportunity to harness the political and economic will to effectuate sustainable systemic change. Therefore, when Dr. McMurray Heath announced her Bioequality Agenda, she triggered more than a frisson of introspection for the constellation of stakeholders in the biotechnology and pharmaceutical industry, as well as for those of us in the patient advocacy community. Well, at least it did for me. Bear with me for a moment. I have worked within some facet of health policy for more than 40 years, and a personal motivation for my efforts over the years, and the epicenter of my associated frustrations, has been the lack of social justice. I didn't think of it as social justice. We spoke often of discrimination and, over time, of health justice, but we were generally focused on specific incidents. In the 1990s, we parsed approaches to obesity prevention, newborn screening, and nutrition and childcare programs through the lens of the social ecological model, but we could not express overarching concerns about social justice. In the 1980s, health systems planners in almost every state developed long-term plans to reduce excess acute care capacity in order to contain the growth of healthcare expenditures. As part of that process, we assigned value to nursing units and to hospitals in a manner that presaged the quality-based value assessments that are currently employed to constrain access to therapeutic options. In order to make an effective case, we were required to close our minds to concerns about social justice. We have documented disparities in health status and inequities in care through every conceivable lens, using the lexicon and the metrics of the relevant decade. We have quoted the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and President John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr., yet had no expectation that the biotechnology industry would not only incorporate the canon of social justice, but would don the mantle of leadership. So to be clear, I believe it is possible for the market objectives of commercial interests to coexist with and support the principles of social justice. I also believe that, given projected changes in the size and demographics of our population, operationalizing the principles of social justice has the potential to significantly enhance the return on investment of the biotechnology industry. Let me put it another way. I believe that a failure of the biotechnology and pharmaceutical industry to realign their research and marketing processes to include historically minoritized and marginalized populations will have a seismic effect on the profitability and/or viability of your members. Population statistics published by the US Census Bureau in February of this year project increases during the next 40 years of seniors and of racial and ethnic population cohorts who are historically underrepresented in biomedical research, yet will have increasing and longer-term needs for drugs, biologics, and assistive devices. The patient advocacy community can be of assistance to industry in identifying and advocating for policy that is supportive of these populations. However, it must be recognized that populations other than white non-Hispanic are also historically underrepresented in and underserved by organized patient advocacy. It is imperative, therefore, that in the interest of advancing social justice, we honor the principles of social justice. We must identify processes and possibly structures that enable proactive coexistence, monitor and report on the actions of the actors, hold both partners accountable, find ways to reward success, and define course corrections when deviation or dysfunction present. I wish to reiterate my belief that finding common cause between the market objectives of commercial interests and the interests of organized patient advocacy is a sine qua non of a successful effort to inculcate the principles of social justice within both sectors. However, we must move forward with intention and a long-term commitment to replace the building blocks of inequity with a concrete and reinforced foundation of social justice. In closing, I'm excited by the prospects of this new way forward. It is and will be challenging and troubling, but it will be good trouble. Thank you for spending this time with me this morning. Thank you, Maria.
Maria, if you can unmute yourself. We're not able to hear you, but I did just want to say thank you so much to our sponsors. Amgen is our presenting sponsor, Pharma as our gold, and UCB as our silver sponsor. Now we will be ending this session and going to our next one, but thank you so much to Gretchen for those insights, and we will see you at the next session. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.